everybody. Welcome back. This is another episode in my series called Guitar Insight, and today we're going to talk about discipline, practice discipline. So, what happens when you get off course? You may have had a holiday break, or for whatever reason, you're just not practicing as regularly as you were before. A lot of times, that alone can be a stress when you come back and sit with the guitar. Now, you're thinking you're overwhelmed. You're behind on your practicing and your fingers aren't moving the way that they used to, and you just don't know how to start. A lot of people even get so stressed out with that they put the guitar back in the case and they prolong this break from practicing, and they take extra days before they come back. And now, things are really spiraling out of control. It just gets really, really hard after a long time to jump right back in. The solution to this is to have something that you immediately have as a resource from your fingers to immediately start working and making improvement. And it doesn't have to be a piece. It doesn't have to be a large project. You can start with a very, very simple exercise. It's hard to recommend an exercise that will work for everybody listening because everybody is at a different stage, everybody is at a different level. But the chromatic exercise, using the 4 fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is an exercise that is in the regimen of a lot of classical guitar virtuosos, and I've even seen it recommended many times from electric guitar virtuosos like John Petrucci from Liquid Tension Experiment, Dream Theater. So why is this universally such a popular exercise for guitarists? There are many reasons for that, and I really believe that the main reason that it's so popular is that the exercise can be scaled to any level. It's an exercise that you can use as a complete beginner, as an intermediate, and then as a very advanced player if you adjust it appropriately. So let's take a look. The first thing, if it's difficult for you to do it in the first position because you're not able to kind of make that stretch happen and you're feeling that your fingers are coming off of the frets, you can adjust it and move it to the 7th position, to the 6th, or to the 5th, where the frets are narrower. And then you have a much easier time. I will say that even in like late beginner intermediate pieces are already going to have you stretching this distance in the first position. So it's nice if you can quickly work up to being able to do this on the first fret. Because if you look, like a basic C chord will definitely have you already stretching from frets 1, 2, and 3 with fingers 1, 2, and 3. So it's important that you get to this position. Another thing is that now you're getting into early intermediate repertoire, and it's basically a lot of chord shapes that are really demanding in how much you're stretching, and so you really have to get this stretch going. You look at a piece like Francisco Tarrega's Etude in E minor. So that one has a bar chord included, obviously, but you also have to be really, really comfortable with making stretches. So increasing your stretching capacity with this exercise, if you're starting on the 7th, moving to the 1st, that's going to be a very valuable thing for you as a beginner or early intermediate. Now, what happens if you're not a beginner or an intermediate and you're more advanced and you want to take a look at this exercise and its benefits? So, first of all, for everybody, beginner all the way through advanced, this exercise has a benefit of teaching you to keep your fingers close to the strings. A lot of times I see fingers flying off of the strings way more than is necessary. You should really not be leaving the fretboard by more than about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch, and that's probably the maximum. There are maybe some special techniques and special circumstances where that could be untrue, but for the most part, that's going to be a consistent goal of yours, keeping the fingers very, very close to the strings. Minimal movement means that you're going to be a fast player and you're going to be an accurate player. Okay, next, it's also going to teach you not to tilt your hand back and forth when you're moving, so you're not doing 1, 2, 3, 4, keeping the fingers on the string. Again, keeping with that minimal movement. Another benefit is that you can start to scale this exercise for your own coordination. Remember, 1, 2, 3, 4 is just one variant of the exercise, and there's 23 more ways to take this 4-finger pattern and use it to your advantage and work on coordination. If you're moving in a linear way, going up, you can also move back down, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then, now you can make finger combinations where you're moving upward with 2 of the fingers and the opposite with the other 2 fingers. We can do 1, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4. So those are all frets and number fingerings that I'm telling you. So even if you're more advanced, when you start getting into these more complicated patterns and you're raising the tempo, these are quite difficult coordination exercises, so you can certainly scale them that way. Beyond just working on these as coordination exercises, as stretching exercises, the chromatic pattern can also be used to strengthen the hand. So if you combine these with hammer-ons and pull-offs, now you've got a completely different exercise that is benefiting you and building strength for your hammer-ons and pull-offs. So those are both ascending, and I'm looping each one. I think there's a benefit to looping the combination of the fingers and doing it more times in a row. Then that will build more endurance with that particular pattern. So you can loop it anywhere from 4 or 5 or 6 times or so in each one. Do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, right? Then you can do it with the other combinations. You can do it with descending, 2, 1, 4, 3, right? You can combine that. So these are just some examples where you can take a very, very simple 4-finger exercise and turn it into many different exercises. And as you're getting more advanced and you're seeing that, okay, it's easy to do it on the 7th fret, the 5th, all the way to the 1st, I've got that, and now I'm ready for something else. Remember, playing in the higher positions of the guitar is very challenging, because when you play in the higher positions of the guitar, starting on the 10th fret, the 11th, and the 12th, because the classical guitar is it's a symmetrical instrument. It doesn't have a cutaway right here. As soon as you're reaching past the 10th fret, your thumb position changes, and you actually have to keep the thumb in a different position than normal. Normally we align it with the 1st and the 2nd finger, and now it's going to be a little bit outward like that, and we're making a stretch. So taking this exercise and practicing it on the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, that's going to be very, very hard, and that's going to be a very advanced version of the exercise. But what happens is you sort of scale the exercise based on the difficulty of the pieces that you currently have. And as you're progressing with your repertoire, you can progress with this chromatic exercise. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me for this tutorial. I want to talk a little bit about the guitar that was featured in this video. This is the Magistral D-C. It's an absolutely beautiful instrument made by Manuel Rodriguez and provided by GEWA Music for this video. I've been looking for a guitar that is affordably priced for a beginner or intermediate student, and can also be used as a very fine backup guitar for an experienced player. Now, with a price of under $700 US, this is an amazing purchase. Let me talk about it. When I was a beginner, I got a very inexpensive instrument because I wasn't sure that I would stay with the classical guitar. So this was more than 20 years ago. That first guitar that I got, it had a very, very small sound. It didn't look beautiful like this instrument. It lacked the sustain, and I kind of thought, okay, well, you know, this is going to be a rite of passage for me to work on an inexpensive instrument, and then I'll earn my way to be able to play on instruments that cost, you know, several $1,000s and up and up. It's not entirely true, because you do have to work with a certain budget when you're buying an instrument, but I will tell you that you have to be careful what you select, because with that first guitar that I played, I did not have a very good base. I did not have a very good palette for choosing expensive instruments, because later when I would have to upgrade, I didn't know what I was looking for, because as I was upgrading, of course, every more expensive guitar sounded better than that first instrument that I bought. But I had no idea what I was looking for in terms of the personality and the character that would suit my playing style. I didn't really have a clear concept of my own playing style, because I was playing on such a poor quality instrument in the beginning. And what that led to was buying my first instrument and probably overpaying for it. My first kind of more expensive instrument, I overpaid for it, and it really didn't end up sounding very good, I realized over time, but I didn't know any better because I didn't have that bass. And yeah, it sort of led to a string of events of me buying and upgrading instruments for years and not really having a clear concept of what a good guitar should sound like. It was really not until 2010 that I finally found an instrument that really suited my playing style, and it really defined for me kind of what I believe a concert instrument should sound like. So it's very important that from the very beginning you try to get the highest quality instrument that you possibly can. And I'm really impressed with what Manuel Rodriguez Guitars is producing now with these affordable instruments. It's just absolutely amazing. It sounds fantastic right out of the box. It's strung with Hannibach carbon strings. I haven't changed the strings on this. This is the set that came on the guitar. So if you listen to that sustain, a beautiful sound that you can make on an inexpensive instrument, it's something that was unheard of when I was beginning the classical guitar. Another note about this guitar is that it's a all solid wood guitar. And that is not just for bragging rights. It's not just to tell your friends, oh, I got a all solid wood guitar, check this out. No, it's not just that it looks pretty, and it's not just for bragging rights. What that really means is that it's not constructed of, pieces of wood or veneer or some kind of laminate, and it's kind of made of materials where you don't know what's going on. No, when something is constructed where the back, the top, and the sides are made from a solid piece of wood, that actually affects the sound of the guitar over time. I mean, have you heard that if a guitar ages, that it could sound better over time? Well, a guitar that never sounded good to begin with, that's probably not true. But with an all solid wood guitar, over time, as the wood develops various imperfections due to temperature and moisture changes, that aging will make the guitar sound better. It will have a fuller and more resonant sound, and you're going to age with the guitar in terms of your playing ability and stuff like that, and you're going to hear differences in this guitar. So this could be perhaps your first guitar, and then maybe you will upgrade and you will get something that's far more expensive, but it would be fantastic to just keep this instrument as a backup in your collection. And I think that makes it a much more reasonable investment than just buying something that you will throw away or you will give away eventually. So it's absolutely not a chore to practice on this guitar. This guitar is absolutely gorgeous, has a full sound. You listen to that full sound, good sustain, and it's not going to limit you. That's the main point. This guitar is not going to hold you back from the very beginning, and then you're going to make very wise choices if you want to invest later in instruments that cost several $1,000s. But this guitar is good. It's going to stay with you, and it's going to serve you right. Anyway, thank you guys again for joining me for Guitar Insight, and I'll be back soon with another episode, much sooner than this time. Thank you. Take care.